Right. And now the second seminar of today, behind the scenes of capturing Cruisin 5, aka wie man ein CRT gescheit abfilmt. Bei Rufus. Give him a hand.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Rufus. Today I'm gonna take you on a tour behind the scenes of capturing Cruisin 5 oder wie ich sagen würde, wie man einen CRT gescheit abfilmt. So, hallo? Hallo was? So what's Cruisin 5? It is our demo. You might have even called it a crack intro for the Arkanoid arcade machine, which was shown at last year's Revision Wild competition. Video capturing was done from a CRT monitor on an old arcade cabinet that we brought to the party place so you could watch it on its full glory. Now I show you a short part of the Wild demo so you can see what we achieved. Hopefully you noticed that this video does not look like what you would usually expect from a film CRT. Maybe you saw that the image was a bit nervous, but this was the CRT itself. Probably the voltage supply is not perfectly stable. Yeah. But why on earth did we film the CRT instead of using digital captures from an emulator or a grabber card connected to the video pins of the PCB? Just because we wanted to show the zoom out on an arcade cap and Dexter in his dining room at the end of the demo part without any cuts. So what were the challenges? CRT of arcade machines are nicer running at 15 or 60 Hertz of PAL NTSC. I checked in Mr. FPGA and the update rates are in the range of 47 to 63 all over arcades I checked. So it's really a huge range. Signal between PCB and monitor is comparable what you know from SCART RGB signals. We wanted to avoid common flickering and strips when filming CRTs, which happens even with professional cameras. And because our demo has a lot of fast-moving parts, we also wanted to avoid the common rolling shutter effects. In case you never heard of this, I show you what I found on YouTube. Sorry for the vertical video.
Why does this video look so weird? It's because of rolling shutter. When a camera takes a picture, it does it by essentially scanning it from the top to the bottom. Rolling shutter happens when you have a fast-moving object that moves while the sensor is scanning the image. This means that the top part gets captured, but the bottom part moves, and something that's supposed to be straight now looks warped or bent. This can be a real problem, especially if you're filming something that's moving really fast. Some high-end cinema cameras have what's called global shutter, and what this means is that it scans the entire sensor's image instantaneously, so it's impossible to get that rolling shutter effect. A possible fix is to actually lower your shutter speed, but you have to be careful with this as to not lower it too much, otherwise you're going to start getting too much motion blur. At the end of the day, the severity of this depends on your camera's shutter, and unfortunately, the best fix for this is to just buy a better camera.
Well, by accident, I was developing cameras for industrial applications myself over 20 years ago. In your daily life, the likeliest place where you could have met cameras I developed with my colleagues is when you put bottles in a beverage return machine by a German company located in Ilmenau, so you don't have to name the real name of the company we worked for. I know that suitable camera sensors for the task I had in mind were available at the time, but back then it would have been really, really very pricey. But now let's see what the technical requirements were for this project. Oops, sorry. We begin with the already explained global shutter, which is simply a must-have from my point of view. As a side note, to my knowledge, all mobile phones and most action cams use rolling shutter, simply because they are much cheaper and you can break with very high resolutions because the sensor itself is cheap, so you put a lot of pixels on it. Typical both product groups camouflage this with nearly every year higher frame rates I propose, which helps to reduce the artifacts of rolling shutter, but does not really avoid them at all. And when you film a CRT, this still looks like ghosting effects. Now let's talk about some sort of cheating. We just not only aim with the camera on the CRT, but use one single bit of an electrical signal we need to find and connect on the PCB. It's called the vertical sync signal, which gives us the required rate and phase information, so we can snap each frame at the perfectly moment of time. By accident, we saw the VSync signal already on the PCB when we worked around the copy protection by replacing a microcontroller unit with the 9 wires you can see on this photo. One of these 9 wires is the VSync signal we were searching, and why it's there we can only guess, because it's a little bit a strange of artifact that they put the VSync to this copy protection chip. The signal gets connected to the industry camera, which what is called an external trigger. A term they use for input signals you can give to a camera. Typically using opto isolator to support all power supply scenarios. The most important parameter to be determined was the exposure time. You can get to it by starting with the display refresh rate of the Arconoid PCB, which is of course well documented. I just looked in the info box of my Mr. PGA. It's nearly 60 Hertz. CRT, especially color displays, have a very low persistence, which means you need to capture the complete time the display activates the phosphor. So the calculation is simple. It's 1 through display rate minus some time for the blanking, and that's around 60 milliseconds. To demonstrate the low persistence of a CRT, I captured the image of my Amstrad Schneider CPC monitor in my living room with just 0.5 milliseconds exposure time. As you can, that's not easy. Take care of this gradient in the blue background, which is nearly invisible on the big screen. The lines above what you can see clearly, that's to display the low persistence of a CRT. For a long time, the typical camera sensors could only expose and read out sequentially, so you could only capture every second frame when filming a display. So what we need is a feature which needs to be integrated in the camera sensor itself, which allows you to do this in an overlapping manner. Typically, this is called pipelined trigger, and was for a very long time exclusive to the top models of industry cameras, which meant an unreasonable price tag. For the camera resolution, full HD is enough. So it fits together with the rest of our video, which was filmed by Bartman with an iPhone. Today, full HD is a typical resolution also in industry camera business. This was very easy to achieve. Now comes a very nice requirement, as you've seen in this video for the rolling shutter. There was mentioned that a global shutter camera he was displaying there with an enormous price tag. When I left the business with industry cameras 12 years ago, such a camera would still have cost several thousand euros. So I was really eager to find out what it costs today. Nice surprise that the camera itself is just 350 euro. The required sync cable in comparison looks a bit overpriced, but that's also okay. So I bought it from a former competitor, also located in Germany. Now to the unexpected challenges. The CRT in Arcade cabinet is pretty much tilted, so when you stand in front of it looking downward, you're looking downward on the screen. So when you want to film this, it gets very inconvenient, and especially when you need several meters distance because the focal lengths of your borrowed optics were made for a much bigger camera sensor. This resulted in funny camera settings. First, when filming the original video, for the wild demo at Revision, we used a stairway, mounted the camera on a plank, put the laptop on that, and as you can see, it looks, no, don't try that. Second, when filming the higher quality demo part, only some weeks later, we could tilt the cabinet itself because we did not need to zoom out on the room with Dexter in it. On my photo, you can still see him, of course. At the time when we were ready for the final take, the PCB didn't want to start, and it looked like it crashed directly on power up. But sometimes it started some seconds later after that anyway, so you can see this scrambling at the beginning of our wild demo video. So it was a bit of luck that that take went through, and and my job was doing the zooming and focusing at the end of the demo part and show Dexter in his living room in front of the arcade cap. This was very stressful because I had to check the resulting image on a laptop, and manually doing all this on a pretty small optics. So now I want to show you the result of all this happening.
Hi, I'm Dexter. No, E.T. is not here. He's out playing with He-Man. Sorry, the 80s were calling. But do you remember the golden age of arcade video games? The demo you just saw was running on this Arkanoid arcade machine from 1986. Have fun finding the Easter egg, but now let's put back the original game ROMs. MCU Copy Protection.
I hate this game. And I'm out of coins again. Let's cheat, but yeah, just a little bit.
Unfortunately, it took our crack division 13,456 days to finish their zero-day release. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed at least our small crack intro.
Und wenn du jetzt so viel Geld hast, da gibt's auch noch DLC, New School Downloadable Content, kostenlose Levels, kostenlose Level-Editor, alles runterzuladen bei www.abyss-online-de.
.de.
Oh, da ist doch ein Minus, da muss doch dann gleich kommen.
Ah.
Leck mir doch am Arsch.
If you want to see the demo in its original 59.2 Hz on a real CRT, we'll swap the ROMs in our cabinets in the arcade area now. And don't forget your D-Mark. How could you forget me, Mario?
Komm, Gott, wir gehen.
Komm, Jose, schon 4:30.
Können wir wiederkommen?
Ach, wir haben ja 2 Kinder. Oh, ab ins Bett jetzt.
Nein.
What the? Ah!
This part was hijacked from the original credits. You normally cannot see them because they were only made for bootleggers failing with their crack. Attention! Current MAME emulation is only good for Arkanoid, but not for this demo. Of course, Arkman fixed this already. Hopefully MAME integrates his patches soon. And remember, if you like the game, please consider buying the original.
Denn nur Original ist legal.
Thanks. The correction would be now, I didn't bring a cabinet with me, but
Why not? Why not?
Too heavy, sorry. But I have my Mister with a vertical CRT here, so if you want to see it in its real glory, you can come over to me.
Yay!
So, maybe you have a demo project in your queue where you cannot use a grabber card or even capture from an emulator, and you need to film the CRT directly. I can offer you to lend you my setup for that. Only constraint is that I just own fixed focal length objective, which needs some meters distance to get the complete screen on the view. The zoom was just borrowed. So that's it. Do we have some questions?
Coming.
Thank you for the presentation. The capture looks really good. I had a question. Why is it important, if I understood it correctly, why is it important to skip the vertical blanking during the exposure time? Like why?
You're completely right. So I then just had to approximate it. Of course, you can exposure during blanking because you can't see anything at blanking. So the needed exposure time was just between with and without blanking. So completely right here. Thanks.
Other questions? Second.
Sorry, I just arrived for the end of the presentation. Maybe it was answered. But why it was important to record the CRT and not mode the board to have some sort of RGB out from it? Was it part of the concept or was just a way of least resistance?
Yeah, it was part of the presentation, of course. We had to do this because we wanted to zoom out from the display to the cap to the room standing, the cap in it. So you could see that it's really running on a real cabinet. So that's the cause why we had all this trouble. Yeah, you're right. Thanks.
Also because they can.
Of course we can.
Any other questions? All right, then thanks a lot, Rufuso, for this great seminar. Give him a hand.
You're welcome. Thanks.
And yeah, find him in the hall and check it out on the real hardware. And in a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, or 20, I don't know. 20. In 20 minutes, the music compos will start.